Right. Well, you were saying you were, playing hockey and doing the master cleanse. I go to the gym and I weight lift, I bodybuild, and I generally build. When I'm on the lemonade diet and I'm at the gym, I actually lift more weight when I'm drinking lemonade than when I come off and go back to eating. I have to cut back on my weight when I start to eat. And people are sometimes they're shocked, and I go, well, because I've got all this extra energy actually on the cleanse, and the one thing that many people don't know, is Stanley says in his book, is that your body can actually create its own protein.
Okay. Yeah.
And it does this by picking up nitrogen from the air, because the red blood cells not only pick up oxygen, they pick up other gases. And he said if you don't smoke and you don't eat dairy products, there is a microorganism or an intestinal flora that will pick up the nitrogen and will be able to build from carbohydrates, build amino acids. So you can actually be on the lemonade and gaining muscle mass when you're only maybe consuming, through your diet. Like if you drink 8 ounces of lemon juice a day, that would be like 8 glasses. That you would be getting 1 gram of protein all day. But that doesn't mean that's all your body is accumulating. And the other thing is that your body recycles at least 80% of its amino acids.
Right.
So even if it's breaking down in one place, it's rebuilding in another.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing. You know what, Tom, not to be argumentative, but because I have given myself one directive in my search for knowledge and my presentation of whatever that knowledge that I learned that day, is 1, to be flexible, and 2, to address the conflicting reports that we hear from the community. And a week ago I had Peter Glickman on, and he suggested that exercising is fine while on the master cleanse. And I've exercised too. I play hockey, I've ran 3 miles, and I've done some weight training as well, but it's usually quite light. And he suggested that perhaps you shouldn't do anything that causes your muscles to break down in an anaerobic exercise, as opposed to, say, walking for 50 minutes, and you're not causing your muscles to break down and want to rebuild themselves. How do you respond to that?
Well, in my book, I have a testimony of a woman she actually heard me speak about the cleanse for about 5 minutes at a workshop. And she went on the cleanse in a couple of days, and I went back to Atlanta, and I was teaching a workshop, and she came into my workshop, and it was about 3 days into the workshop, and she said, asked me a question, and I often say, well, what day are you on the cleanse? Because that's often a pertinent bit of information that I need. And she kind of quietly said, day 119. And I said, what? She said, I'm on day 119. This woman went on to do 372 days in a row and was running 7 miles a day. When I saw her after the cleanse, she had calves. This woman was in her early 60s. She has calves that were probably 25% bigger than mine. This is a woman who was smaller than I am, in her 60s, and was on the cleanse for over a year, and she had bigger calves. So, in running all of this, and she was afraid to stop, and the reason why she was afraid to stop is because she felt so incredible. And as I said, I've had I had a woman training for a triathlon, and she had an infection happen in her sinuses, and she was told she needed surgery. And she called me and she said, can I do the lemonade and just continue training? I said, absolutely. So she trained for 12 days on the lemonade diet, doing, training for a triathlon. So she's training 6 hours a day. That's not mild training, that's heavy training. Mm-hmm. And she called me after the 12th day and said, don't let anybody ever tell you for any reason that they can't do the lemonade diet. If I can do all of this stuff for 12 days and perform at my peak, there's no reason why anybody else can't. And I said, well, one question I wanted to know was, I said, how much lemonade were you drinking a day? She said, I was drinking 24 to 26 glasses a day. So when people say, oh, I don't think you should do that, I've done it. I've gone out and danced for 3 or 4 hours while on the master cleanse for 8 days or 7 days or longer. Right. I've had many people who, call me, and they're bodybuilders, they're athletes, they're yoga instructors, they're doing all of these things, and they said they've never felt better while doing it. Now, what I would say is that if you're not experienced with cleansing, your first cleanse or two, you will not have that kind of energy, because you will be loosening up and sort of dumping a lot of toxins from your body, which will probably could make you feel a little weak. And that's because you're dumping more toxicity than what you're maybe feeling comfortable with.
Right.
But after your second or third cleanse, you might find that you've got more energy than you've ever had in your life. I've had people say, I've never exercised in my life, and go on the master cleanse and then start exercising because they feel so well. So, my own experience is with the people I've worked with, by all means. I mean, I have pregnant women who do the cleanse. I just talked to somebody just recently, and she said she felt incredible doing the cleanse. One woman I talked to said the only time she had no pain was when she was on the master cleanse with her child, and pregnant. My wife nursed 2 babies at the same time while on the cleanse. I will qualify that she only did 7 days, but I've known several women to do, to nurse 1 baby for 10, 12 days, and she was my wife at the time was nursing 2 babies. So, I mean, I've seen it sort of put to the test, and if I had any doubts about it, I mean, I've had people given a week to live. We've told her to go home and die, get their affairs in order, who do the cleanse. In fact, this one woman, she was a nurse, and she said, won't my husband die from doing this? I said, he's already going to die. Well, at least he'll die trying. Well, 2 weeks later, I'm at her house giving him a treatment, and she's looking at me, and she says, can I go on this diet? Because he had changed so dramatically and was so much healthier, she now wanted to get in on it. It's like, why shouldn't he? I said, of course, why shouldn't you? Go ahead. So I would argue that, from my own experience and many other people I've seen. But if you don't want to do it, I'm not saying you have to.
Right.
But, you don't have to, I don't want people to go out there and go, oh, I'm going to run a marathon. And,
it's just if it makes sense for you.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, right. It's got to make sense for you. I mean, if you were an individual who was used to 3 days of light cardio each week, and that was the extent of your exercise, by all means continue to do that. You do want to just be able to manage. It's no different than any other part of your life. You need to take ownership and responsibility about or with regards to the relationship you have with your body. You need to listen to it. You need to be aware of what it's telling you. Are you tired? Do you need to stretch? Should you get up more? Do you have energy? Energy, like you said, it often prompts us to do something. Well, act on it. If you feel prompted to be energetic, then be energetic. That's your body telling you that you're good to go. Let's go, right? And here I'm sitting, Tom, and I'm on this chair that's all padded, and I'm trying to keep my back straight because in the last month or so I've had this sciatic SI joint issue flaring up. And I'm an athletic, active guy. I'm snowboarding, skiing, and surfing, and trying to be active, but I'm also on the computer a lot. And the reason why I'm kind of jump cutting to this topic is based on the